I'm sorry. You're gonna know who you are if you watch this. Okay. I'll call you back, don't worry. So, today we're going to be reading, or I'm going to be reading a few, or I'm not sure how many I'll read, but I'm going to read the Grimm brothers, Grimm brothers, fairy tales, or stories. If you didn't know, a lot of the very popular and well-known stories and fairy tales that we know today and that we see in Disney, they're actually, they all come, or a lot of them, were written by the Grimm brothers, and their initial storylines and their initial, like the meaning behind what the characters went through, and a lot of that symbolism was like very violent and gruesome, um, and just not kid friendly. And obviously now a lot of these like movies that we see by Disney, like the main audience is children, so obviously they've been very adapted a lot. So I'm going to be reading the original stories by the Grimm brothers, and this first one is Rapunzel. And when I saw this TikTok, it literally put me to sleep, so I hope it can help you guys. Rapunzel. There was once a man and his wife who had long wished in vain for a child. When at last they had reason to hope that heaven would grant their wish, there was a little window at the back of their house which overlooked a beautiful garden full of lovely flowers and shrubs. It was, however, surrounded by a high wall, and nobody dared to enter it because it belonged to a powerful witch who was feared by everybody. One day the woman, standing at the window looking into the garden, saw a bed planted with beautiful rampion. It looked so fresh and green that it made her long to eat some of it. This longing increased every day, and as she knew it, could never be satisfied. And she began to look pale and miserable, and to pine away. Then her husband was alarmed, and he said, "What ails you, my dear wife?" "Alas," she answered, "if I cannot get any of the rampion from the garden behind our house to eat, I shall die." Her husband, who loved her, thought, "Before you let your wife die, you must fetch her some of that rampion, cost what it may." So, in the twilight, he climbed over the wall and into the witch's garden, hastily picking a handful of rampion, and took it back to his wife. She immediately dressed it and ate it up very eagerly. It was so very, very nice that the next day her longing for it increased threefold. She could have no peace unless her husband fetched her some more. So, in the twilight, he set out again. But when he got over the wall, he was terrified to see the witch before him. "How dare you come into my garden like a thief and steal my rampion?" she said, with angry looks. "It shall be the worst for you." This is what it looks like, by the way. I'm not sure if you can see properly. I'm just reading it like that. "Alas," he answered, "be merciful to me. I am only here from necessity. My wife sees your rampion from the window, and she has such a longing for it that she would die if she could not get some of it." The anger of the witch abated, and she said to him, "If it is as you say, I will allow you to take away with you as much rampion as you like, but on one condition. You must give me the child which your wife is about to bring into the world. I will care for it like a mother, and all will be well with it." In his fear, the man consented to everything, and when the baby was born, the witch appeared, gave it the name of Rapunzel, rampion, and took it away with her. Rapunzel was the most beautiful child under the sun. When she was 12 years old, the witch shut her up in a tower which stood in a wood. It had neither staircase nor doors, and only a little window quite high up the wall. When the witch wanted to enter the tower, she forced her to live in the greatest grief and misery. And the evening of the day on which she had banished Rapunzel, the witch fastened the plates which she had cut off to the hook by the window. And when the prince came and called, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair," she lowered